This is the third quarter. So, anyway, good evening and welcome to the Reimagine MCCJ 85th Anniversary Humanitarian Dinner, now MCCJ's 85th Anniversary Humanitarian Awards virtual celebration. My name is Calvin Hughes. I'm a news anchor with Channel 10. My hope is that most of you know that at home and you watch all the time. But once again, it is my pleasure to continue this tradition to MC this special event and help MCCJ celebrate its 85th anniversary. It's amazing that we were supposed to gather on Saturday, March 14th at the Miami Hotel Intercontinental to celebrate this milestone, and my, has our world changed since then. A very special thank you tonight to Maria Alonso and the United Way of Miami for enabling us to broadcast live tonight from their offices here, and we certainly do thank them. Like many nonprofits nationally, MCCJ has been impacted by, of course, COVID-19. Moving all events, youth, and community programs from live to virtual platforms. Additionally, the heightened levels on increased political polarization and civil unrest reminds us of how critical and relevant MCCJ's work in the community continues to be. At this time, of course, we cling to tradition of such unrest, and we are here together this evening using technology to mark MCCJ's history of honoring outstanding citizens with the coveted Silver Medallion Award, as we recognize the social justice challenges that characterize the public debate as of late. Through open dialogue leading to conflict resolution, training and educating youth through Metrotown, student mediation and student voices, and by engaging with community partners in conflict resolution, the Board of Directors of MCCJ is committed to building an inclusive community. This year's Metrotown was canceled due to the pandemic. Instead, Metrotown alumni met virtually to discuss the impact of current diversity and inclusion-related happenings in Miami and plan a service project that allows youth to take action twice a year. The alumni are also provided with guidance and support in developing and maintaining active cultural diversity clubs in their high schools. Plans are now underway for a live version of Metrotown 2021. That's all, of course, subject to COVID-19 guidelines. As a service to our community, Metrotown is open to youth at no cost. Tonight, you will have an opportunity to sponsor $500 of Metrotown scholarships per student and enter a drawing to win 2 business class tickets to North, Central, and South America on American Airlines. The more scholarships you sponsor, the better your chances of winning. You can realize your contribution tonight by clicking on the link on the screen. I hope you can see that. There it is. So from my post at Channel 10, we cover one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, with over half of us coming from another country. The inherent issues of divisiveness and disparities of opportunity fueled by prejudice and fear are part of our national discourse. We need leadership of MCCJ to help us build bridges and continue to strengthen MCCJ's position as a connector. As we celebrate the 85th anniversary, we are grateful that MCCJ stands strong and steadfast in its mission. Never before has our directive been so relevant and imperative. Unity, inclusiveness, and interfaith engagement are the keys to our future and to a better community and to a better world. Leadership at MCCJ through the decades has been truly remarkable, as we all know. A long-standing member of the Board of Directors, Matthew Anderson, took the reins over the organization as chairman this past June. A dynamic and thoughtful leader, he is deeply committed to program and organizational development. Matt is a passionate advocate for MCCJ's values and mission. So if we can, that's a great picture of him right there. He's looking 25 years old. Let's please welcome the chairman of the MCCJ Board of Directors, Matthew Anderson.
Calvin, the remarks.
Oh, sorry. You need this.
I do.
Let me put it back for you. There you go.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much, Calvin. Good evening, and thank you for watching. 2020 has been an unforgettable year, to say the least. Even this evening's event, originally scheduled for March 14th, is being broadcast now due to the worldwide crisis of COVID-19. Nonetheless, we're here together virtually, and we sincerely appreciate you tuning in. MCCJ has been a part of Miami for 85 years. Think about that. 85 years. We are the oldest clergy dialogue group in the United States of America. That means for 85 years, we've come together in the spirit of inclusion and diversity, beginning with diverse faiths to listen to one another, share perspectives, and initiate positive change in the community. While the world may seem different from when we started in 1935, the reality is, as humans, our needs really haven't changed. The equal distribution of resources required for survival, clean air and water, healthy food, rest, and connection. The safety needed beyond survival to sustain life and allow us to live without fearing harm. The love of belonging that is necessary in order for our connections to mean something. The same connections that give rise to confidence and self-esteem, that generates respect and accomplishment. And finally, the individual fulfillment of good character, creative genius, problem solving, acceptance of facts, and fairness that impacts everyone with the love and light that causes us all to rise together. Because every human represents life, because not one of us is exactly alike, because the greatest diversity is diversity of thought, and because you want and deserve to be heard. This is what MCCJ stands for, the strength and power in our uniqueness. It is that which makes every one of us diverse, and the involvement of all, not just some, but everyone. We are here to listen, to learn, to lean in with you, because your perspective matters. The MCCJ board is comprised of dedicated leaders who work together to promote an inclusive community where respect for all is a hallmark of our mission. Their names are on the screen and in your programs. Please help me virtually recognize the MCCJ Board of Directors. I would also like to give a special thanks and recognition to our dinner chairs, Cristina Pereira Alvarez and Cesar Alvarez, the honorary chairs, the host committee, the dinner planning committee, and all who work tirelessly to ensure this evening's success. You will also see everyone's names in our program. Please join me also in recognizing them virtually. This evening, you will hear about our distinguished Silver Medallion honorees who exemplify MCCJ's values and mission in our community. They are the leaders who we admire for their community dedication. These leaders understand that words can divide, whether they are from elected officials, from one kid to another on the playground, an educator, a friend, or family member. Hurtful words, once aired, cannot be taken back. Words that are bullying and abusive create polarization and anger. Hate speech leads to hate acts. MCCJ started 85 years ago with interfaith roots, which are still part of our hallmark. We partner with all faiths in our community in our interfaith clergy dialogue, now fully engaged with the law enforcement engagement outreach program in partner with NYU's Wagner Graduate School of Public Service. We stand together against racial and religious discrimination, gender bias, and any other kind of intolerance. At MCCJ, we work diligently to engage emerging leaders and provide leadership training and educational programs to youth. Later in the program, you'll hear from our Vice Chair, Alex Frazier, who will talk about Metrotown and how you can sponsor a Metrotown delegate with a $500 sponsorship. Your name will be entered into a drawing to win 2 business class tickets to North America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Latin America on American Airlines. None of our programs would be possible without the extraordinary work of Nestor Rodriguez, our Executive Director, Nikki Watkins, our talented and creative Program Director, and the small but mighty team of colleagues at MCCJ. Our publicist, Dina Allende, our Operations Manager, Benita Whitehead, and our Program Manager, Jasmine McKee, and a great team of AmeriCorps members and interns. We are also grateful for our treasured friends at Chase Marketing Group and Jay Arnold. These are our expert wizards behind the curtain pulling our virtual strings tonight. It is them who support and guide us to make this annual milestone happen. Thank you again for being here with us tonight as we celebrate our honorees that embody our mission to ensure that your voice and your perspective is included. It is now my pleasure to introduce our esteemed dinner chairs, Cristina Pereira Alvarez and Cesar Alvarez, community activists, philanthropists, and longtime leaders in our community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to MCCJ's 2020 Humanitarian Awards virtual celebration and silver medallion presentation as we commemorate MCCJ's 85th anniversary. As tonight shares, my wife Christina and I would like to thank you for joining us as we honor men and women who have dedicated their lives to making our community more welcoming and inclusive.
Good evening. So let's begin by congratulating tonight's Silver Medallion honorees. Imran Ali, Jared Davis, Robert Josephsberg, Cheryl Little. The Robert H. Trurig Lifetime Achievement Award honor goes to Martin Leibowitz and to Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields and Arva Moore Parks. And the Clergy Award goes to Rabbi Frederick Klein.
We would also like to take a moment to thank tonight's sponsors whose generosity has not only made this evening possible, but whose support has allowed MCCJ to continue its work in Miami-Dade County for more than 80 years. Please join us in thanking our presenting sponsors, Greenberg Truck and RCCL, our gold sponsor, Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits, our silver sponsors, Green Family Foundation, Leslie Miller, and Peter L. Vermont of Raymond James.
We would also like to recognize our table sponsors, our underwriters, tribute ads, and drawing gift supporters, as well as those grantors whose names appear on your screen and also on your electronic journals.
As a longstanding member of MCCJ and past Silver Medallion recipient, it is a true privilege to be part of an organization that encourages acceptance and respect of cultural and religious differences for the betterment of our communities. Tonight, we will celebrate men and women who have done just that and who lead by example. And now it's my pleasure to have Calvin introduce the honorees for the prestigious Robert H. Trurig Life Achievement Award, named after an incredible man and my dear friend, partner, and mentor for many years, Bob Trurig.
And during the 2019 Humanitarian Awards dinner, MCCJ paid special tribute to the legacy of the late Robert H. Bob Trurig by naming its Lifetime Achievement Awards after Bob's memory. Whether personally or professionally as a founding partner of Greenberg Trurig, Bob's devotion and long-standing commitment to MCCJ and its mission played a pivotal role in the organization's trajectory, especially when MCCJ separated from the national parent organization. The Trurig Lifetime Achievement Awards is given on this occasion and exclusively at the discretion of the Board of Directors. Tonight, the award is given to three extraordinary community leaders, two of whom are sadly no longer with us. The first Trurig Lifetime Achievement Award tonight goes to the late Marvin Leibowitz, whose steadfast support and generosity of the cultural arts and individual artist, while he built bridges within our community, contributed to the enrichment of Miami's diverse performing arts culture.
He genuinely and fundamentally believed that art changed people. and that art made us all better. And the more time we spent with art, doing art, watching art, hearing art, the better we would be.
He wanted to connect the things he was interested in. You know, he was always hoping, and so were we, that we would even have a stronger relationship with Florida Grand Opera. Many times brought us to the table together to talk about things we could do, some of which we did.
The bridges that Marvin built were phenomenal, not only between the arts organizations themselves, but he also built bridges to audiences, and he helped develop audiences. Some of the monies that he gave helped to bring school-age kids to enjoy the opera, to enjoy classical music. That was Marvin's strength, in understanding how one organization could help another and how the organizations themselves could help the community.
He was just a grateful, natural philanthropist, and he loved music, so I obviously saw the results of his musical philanthropy.
But Marvin was also acutely interested in science and archaeology, and Marvin was a big supporter of the Science Museum and the things that they were doing as well.
One thing that is common you'll find in everybody that speaks about Marvin is his ability to see the good in others, to see the best in others.
It wasn't so much seeing his name up in lights. He didn't want that. It was really the satisfaction of knowing that he was helping people.
Marvin would have been honored and humbled to receive this award. He had such respect and admiration for Bob. They both dedicated their lives to our community. They were contemporaries and friends, and sadly they died within 5 months to each other. Marvin lived life with such exuberance. He was almost like a child in his curiosity about the world and the people around him. He loved hearing about their lives. He wanted to know what they were doing, how they were feeling, where they were going, and how they were getting there. Those who didn't know him may have thought that he was grilling them. But the truth is, he was just so excited to hear what was going on in their lives. Marvin was so incredibly generous. I remember every 2nd of January going to the post office with a stack of envelopes this high, sending checks to the charities that he supported. Everyone knew about Marvin's passion for the arts, especially music. Less known was his dedication to the organizations that serve the social purpose. Long before diversity, equity, inclusion became the moral imperative of today, Marvin was leading his life guided by those principles. I shared my life with Marvin for 33 years, and he inspired me every day. I'm honored to accept the award in his loving memory. Thank you.
Marvin Leibowitz, an example for us all. Now, the 2nd and 3rd Traurig Lifetime Achievement Awards go to 2 extraordinary women, Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields and the late Arva Moore Parks. Each of these women, who through parallel lives in the education and social justice arenas, brought their unique vision, leadership, and talents to making Miami a better place for all of us. The award is given jointly to Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields and the late Arva Moore Parks. Let's take a look.
This is the story of 2 historians, one black and one white, who lived different yet amazingly parallel lives.
She got involved with all segments of Miami life. She got involved with historic preservation. She was involved with civil rights. There wasn't a thing that Arva didn't stick her toe into and succeed.
It's interesting about Dr. Fields and her work. She has made an impact across many communities and many generations.
I was born in Colored Town, Miami's Colored Town, Overtown, at the Christian Hospital, which was for colored people.
Fortunately, I grew up in a family that did not have a lot of racial prejudice, yet I grew up in a town where the races were absolutely separated.
Integration was mandated. Arva and many other women recognized the trauma that many young Afro-American students would experience. She and others set up a program where these children would have the opportunity to be prepared for the new environment.
What Dorothy did in starting the Black Archives was to include that information and to make it available to people, to have it be a living heritage that underscored what African Americans came to believe as their existence.
Dorothy and Arva both saw an urgent need to save Miami's historic records and cultural landmarks.
The Tower Theater was about to get torn down. I got involved in trying to keep them from tearing it down, not just because of my memories, but because of the memories of the Cubans who came in. They were going to lose a piece of their heritage, but many of them hadn't figured it out yet.
When the Lyric Theater was built in 1913, it rose above the rooftops of Colored Town.
When I heard that it was a black man who built the Lyric, I knew then that we could not tear it down, that he built it for us and for all of the people.
To this day, many of the buildings that she was responsible for restoring, restoring, and making them prominent has been an amazing asset for our community.
I witnessed Arva becoming a very important person. So she became a celebrity because of her writing, and she really did change the feeling of pride in Miami about our community because she wrote it down and made it all part of Miami history.
I always think it must be by design for us to have met and to be a part of this community in this way.
When you get to become a friend with a person, all the rest doesn't matter.
We have more in common than we have differences, and we should celebrate those commonalities.
Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to greet you this evening celebrating MCCJ's amazing milestone and to be one of the honorees for the coveted award, the Silver Medallion. The timely quote on MCCJ's website by attorney H.T. Smith states, "In times of conflict and controversy in our community, MCCJ has been a bridge over troubled waters. For 85 years, MCCJ has connected our community, embracing diversity to advance understanding and respect among all cultures, religions, and races." In the 1950s, as one of the high school students participating in MCCJ's program, I learned firsthand the lasting effect of this important organization's mission. Rooted in interfaith goodwill, MCCJ's mission includes creating safe havens for dialogue, training inclusive leaders, and highlighting the benefits of diversity. From Overtown, Reverend Edward T. Graham and Miss Marie Roberts arranged with NCCJ's then director, Dr. Max Carl, for us to participate. Pioneer participants from Booker T. Washington Senior High School included Enid Pinckney, Leomi Coleman, Maud Newbold, Beverly Nixon, Marcia Saunders, and Jewel Wilson. Decades later, I had the honor of meeting NCCJ's associates, including Dr. Nelson and Mrs. Effie Adams, David Lawrence, Leonard Turkel, Roberta Shevin, attorneys Al and Gail Dotson, Benita Whitehead, Nestor Rodriguez, and Debbie Hoffman. Thank you, Debbie, for nominating my friend, colleague, mentor, and sister of the soul, the late Arva Moore Parks McCabe, and I, to receive MCCJ's Silver Medallion. Arva and I's friendship and work together recording Miami's history and telling our stories is a testament to MCCJ's mission. Different lives from different sides of the railroad tracks, our stories are recorded in the 2010 PBS WPBT documentary, Parallel Lives. which was initiated and sponsored by IWF, the International Women's Forum. MCCJ continues to seek an inclusive community in which all people are treated with dignity and respect. Thank you from both of us.
You learn so much. Every time I do this event, I learn so much. Oh, wow. Congratulations to both beautiful women, Dorothy Jenkins Fields and Arva Moore Parks. Well, the Clergy Silver Medallion goes to a clergy leader whose commitment to interfaith relations and building community bridges exemplifies the values of MCCJ. This year, the honor goes to Rabbi Frederick Klein, MCCJ's own Clergy Dialogue co-chair and the Executive Vice President of the Rabbinical Association of Greater Miami. Let's take a look at the video.
I think Rabbi Klein has a unique ability to see the inner person when he relates to people, when he connects with them. He really does see their soul, and he has uncommon spiritual depth. I think he feels these things very, very deeply himself, and he really is able to see the image of God in every person he meets.
Each person is a world unto themselves, and what Fred as rabbi believes is that because each person is a world unto themselves, when he makes the life of that person in need, who's looking for help, better, he makes their suffering less. He is in fact perfecting the world.
His Refuat HaNefesh program is one that trains volunteers to be para-chaplains, to go into hospitals or senior adult facilities and bring comfort and a warm heart and a present hand.
He would sit there with the people, and he'd guide them spiritually, and he would talk to them, and he would show compassion to them. He would give them understanding and give them hope and give them spiritual guidance.
He believes that every human being, regardless of their faith, regardless of their religion, regardless of their sex, regardless of their station in life, has dignity. And he treats each person the way he'd like to be treated himself.
Since Rabbi Fred Klein came to Miami, he has been and continues to be a blessing to our community.
Rabbi Klein is a wonderful father to his 4 children, and they have grown to be very, very special young people, which we enjoy and reap the benefits of.
First, I would like to recognize the other honorees this evening. I'm very humbled to be included in such a distinguished group of leaders. I deeply appreciate the honor conferred upon me by the MCCJ leadership and board. I know how hard it was to put this event together twice. And while I would have loved to celebrate with each of you this evening, I am truly impressed and touched by the dedication of Nestor and his staff. It's a privilege to be honored by the MCCJ this evening, which celebrates diversity, inclusion, and dialogue. As a faith leader, MCCJ for decades has provided a place for faith leaders to not only exchange ideas, but to come together and build real friendships. As a person who tries to be faithful, hearing the journeys of others helps me grow as a Jew and a human being. I'd like to say Todah, thank you. I'd like to thank our Greater Miami Jewish Federation, led by our CEO and President, Jacob Solomon. Federation has not only provided me with a job, but also with a vocation. As a chaplain, it's an honor to wake up every day and try to be of service to others. I also want to thank my other chaplains who have supported me and made the program the way it is today. Like MCCJ, our federation furthers the idea that we are not self-sufficient individuals, but we are individuals that exist in webs of relationship, and each of us are better for it. I'd like to thank my children, Moshe and Eliana, Shuli, Benny, and Aryeh, and my stepchildren, Judah and Alexandra. They are a source of joy and pride. My wife, Miriam, almost always has a caring and considerate demeanor, trying always to put others first. During these difficult times, she has been a source of support and always been steady. I deeply love you. I have so many teachers throughout the year, beginning with my rabbis at the Hebrew Academy in Miami Beach. There are too many teachers to mention, but I'd like to thank my 2 biggest teachers, my parents, Jeffrey and Carla Klein. Both of them were not only public servants serving the Jewish community, but both taught me the value that the goal of life is not accumulating things, but accumulating good deeds and works. They have always been there for me during joyous and difficult times, and I am forever indebted to them. Finally, I would like to thank God, the Creator, the beginning and the end, who has given me life, sustained me, and brought me to this day to celebrate with all of you. And I'd like to give all of us a prayer that we should experience the divine in our lives like a friendly hand on our shoulder, reassuring us, giving us courage and resilience, and giving us the wisdom to become the human beings we want to be. And to understand that even if we are socially distanced and limited at this time, our humanity can be expanded to embrace the holiness of each one of us. Thank you very much.
Klein, and congratulations as well. Well, now it is my pleasure to introduce MCCJ's dynamic vice chairman of the board, Alex Frazier. Together with Matt Anderson, Alex is committed to taking MCCJ to new heights of success through enhanced community and youth programming. Alex will share the story of one of our signature programs, Metrotown, and you can help make it happen once again through a $500 donation tonight. We hope that you are placing your donations right now. Let's bring Alex to the stage.
Thank you, Calvin. Thank you all for joining tonight. I would like to offer you a gift of a lifetime. What if I told you that we have a gift that will give you an opportunity to not only bring you a ton of joy, but it's a gift that will be able to change the life of young people in our city. For 85 years, MCCJ has focused on doing our part to make our community a better place, a safer place for all. The gift I'm offering you continues in this, but it's even more special because it will help change and mold what our city will become in the next 85 years. By now, you're probably ready to jump through the screen to receive your gift. Well, here it is. Wait, before I get to that gift, I want to share a few things. Through testing, science, research, and observations of everyday life, we know that what is most beneficial in life are relationships. Since the dawn of time, our basic human needs have not changed. Throughout history, we have seen styles and perspectives change, but no matter what trends come and go, our present circumstances usually remain the same, with a little bit of a twist. We at MCCJ would like to offer you the opportunity to be part of a gift of change. You can be part of changing the future of a young person in our community. Over the years, Metrotown participants called delegates have stated that they love relationship building, being able to hang out with people of different walks of life, having someone to talk to, feeling valued. Metrotown is about working to develop leadership skills in an inclusive and diverse space. People skills are honed so that our delegates learn how to communicate, collaborate, and resolve conflicts peacefully. This is accomplished through dialogue, interactive activities, and building relationships. All of this is what we do at MCCJ's Leadership and Diversity Camp called Metrotown. Tonight, we are asking you to give a gift that will directly benefit our youth and our community. Perhaps you know someone between the ages of 13 to 19 who may benefit from such an experience. We would love to have you be part of our Metrotown family. Any gift you give or move to give today will be greatly appreciated. Whether you can give a gift of $5, $50, $500, or $5,000. Every dollar you give towards a Metrotown scholarship will benefit a Metrotown delegate for a lifetime. In Metrotown, student delegates work with their talented AmeriCorps members to explore the power of influence and responsibility that comes with having that power. We work to enhance character traits such as empathy, humility, resilience, positivity, and kindness. We also help delegates identify confidence, vision, and authenticity, and why all three are important in leadership. And finally, we practice relating. Your gift is an investment in what you believe, what you value, what you know today's youth will need in tomorrow's world. While we are grateful for the support of AmeriCorps and Volunteer Florida, who provide the staffing support necessary, it is your gift that covers the cost of the program. So, the gift to yourself will be knowing that Metrotown is a place where youth can talk about life. learn lessons, and grow from their experience, from their mistakes, and not be penalized because of them. It's a safe place to unpack their past, to deal with their present, and to discover and learn and prepare for their future. Remember your 13, 15, or 18-year-old self? What would you do today for the invaluable lessons that these young people will be able to receive? Here's your moment. Write your own legacy. Pay it forward. And finally, last year, the Roberta J. Shevin Metrotown Scholarship Fund was instituted to honor Roberta's memory, and we raised over $70,000. This year, due to the pandemic, Metrotown was canceled. However, delegates and other students met virtually to engage in dialogue, workshops, and plan a service project. Next year, it is our hope that Metrotown 2021, scheduled for July 18th through the 23rd, will occur at Barry University. Subject to the pandemic guidelines, if we are unable to meet in person, MCCJ will still host workshops virtually to engage our youth. Your donation of $500 will pay for a child to attend Metrotown and to follow up Metrotown Institutes. Everyone who commits to Metrotown scholarships will be enrolled in the drawing. As you can see from the screen, the prizes are fantastic, including business class tickets for 2 to North America, the Caribbean, and Latin America. If you haven't already done so, please use the link on the screen to sponsor a Metrotown scholarship. Remember also that you can sponsor multiple children. And remember, if you have a high school aged teenager that would like to attend Metrotown this summer, contact us at MCCJ to request an application. And now it is my pleasure to introduce 2 Metrotown alumni who will share the camp experience with you. They are Alexander Sutton, alumnus from 2018, and Kylie Chance, alumna from 2019. Please give your attention to their compelling and inspiring stories.
Metrotown is a week-long diversity and inclusion summer camp for young leaders in our community so that we can learn the importance of the influence of leadership and learn why diversity and inclusion are so important in our community.
By acknowledging people's differences, not only do you acknowledge their culture and background, but you also acknowledge that they have gone through different things in their life based on their race, sexuality, and gender.
People who thought differently than I did, looked differently than I did, talked differently than I did, and we all came from different backgrounds, but the common denominator between all of us was our capacity to care for our fellow human beings.
Regardless of my sexuality, gender, or race, I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve to be listened to and heard, just like everyone else, because every single person deserves to be treated with humanity and respect, no matter their societal status.
We all have a responsibility to better this world so that people who maybe have less privilege are able to advance and we can achieve a more just and equitable society.
And I think the most important thing is that people have empathy for others, and by having discussions with other people and finding out that they go through things that maybe you don't, it really it opens your heart to other people, and I want other people to experience that.
And I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of it, because the lessons that I learned that week, that summer, 2 years ago, are lessons that I'm going to be using in the rest of my life to try and make sure that I'm constantly improving the world around me.
We are able to not only understand and respect our peers, but also to condemn the sources of their discrimination.
It was one of the most magical experiences of my life.
Without your help and generosity, there wouldn't be a Metrotown. We wouldn't have a safe place to learn and grow.
I encourage you to continue giving, because Metrotown is, I think, one of the most important things that MCCJ does, and it makes such an impact on our community and young kids that are going to go forward and try to change the world and make it a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we certainly do thank you. And let's put up that link one more time so that people can see where they can donate for today. The $500 donation right there. Click on that link, make your donation. Let's reach our goal in memory of Roberta and for those young people who you just saw. Also, one more announcement to make for you. If you missed any part of this broadcast today, any part of the ceremony from today, you can watch a rebroadcast of it. We're going to have that date and time that you can do that, but we're going to show this once again so that you won't miss a moment. Okay, so we're grateful to American Airlines, the Betsy Hotel, Miami Beach, Nestor for his special dinner as well, Jackson Maximus, and others for our drawing prizes. Only Metrotown donors are eligible this year, so winners will be notified. Once again, please purchase a $500 donation and increase your chances of winning 2 business class tickets on American Airlines anywhere in the Americas, the Caribbean, or Latin America, and several other prizes. Again, visit that link right there on your screen. You have until December 4th to sponsor a Metrotown delegate for $500 each. The drawing will take place via Zoom on December 4th. Well, every year since 1946, MCCJ has presented the silver medallions at its annual dinner. The silver medallions are not given because of great monetary gifts or even service to MCCJ, but rather to recognize and encourage the type of leadership that brings people together with goodwill and respect. We are proud to present the 2020 silver medallions this evening to 5 outstanding individuals who all of us are honored to pay tribute to. Each of these remarkable humanitarians will be introduced via words and pictures on the screen. There is an extensive biography in the program, but also there is a video snapshot that will speak for them tonight. And after each video, the honoree will accept the special award. The first person, Imran Ali. Normally there is a huge applause after that. A steady voice on behalf of children in our community. Imran Ali has worked for decades in public service, especially making sure that children in our community are safe and that they receive an education. Let's take a look at his incredible work.
I've known Imran Ali for at least 2 decades. Knew him when he worked for the Department of Children and Families. He was front and center on behalf of children, and he is a major voice in our community on behalf of children, now at the Children's Trust, but in every possible way.
He worked with community leaders to get stipends for kids, and then at the same time, while he was working on the stipends, he also worked on getting affordable housing.
And he continues to do a lot to support adoptive families, and he does that to make sure that children have forever homes.
But it begins with Imran's values. It begins with his soul. It begins with his energy, brings them all together, and has a very collaborative spirit.
His whole values, his way of life, his way of work, it's all wrapped around his faith and how he works together. He definitely reaches out across the faith and faith-based leaders to make this community better.
One of the reasons he has so many people that support him, who believe in him, and who call him just for counsel, because he always seems to find the bright spot in any situation because of his great sense of humor.
Unless I'm deeply mistaken, Imran is thrilled with this award. He's worked in the trenches for decades. He's earned this. His family, which has shared him with so many people, they've earned it. This is a right and just award.
First, let me give my sincere thanks to MCCJ, not only for this humbling honor and privilege for this award, which I graciously accept, but also for the work it does promoting tolerance, understanding, and unity in Miami. The award ceremony was initially planned for March and in person, but the world has changed a lot since then. Of the many lessons we have learned over the last 8 months, we understand that unity is what we need now more than ever. We need to be here and there for everyone and learn to accept each other like never before. All my career has been dedicated to public service, mostly in the majority of time focused on children. Everyone deserves respect and understanding. Children are especially vulnerable to the consequences of intolerance and prejudice. Not only does this negativity affect their development, but also their future possibilities. Love, understanding, and tolerance have the opposite effect, helping to open their minds and hearts to a wealth of opportunity. It sets the stage for a lifetime of acceptance and compassion of others. I have always made every effort to understand people from different cultures and different walks of life to help me develop the tone in which to work better with them. Miami is made up with people from all over the world with different cultures, so I am inclusive in my daily work. As an immigrant myself, I know what it is like to uproot and start a new life in a different country. One always remembers those who welcome you and welcome people with open arms into their community. Having lived here and worked here for the past 4 decades, I hope to be remembered in this way of being inclusive and tolerant. It is among the highest honors of my career to receive the 2020 MCCJ Silver Medallion Award, and I would like to thank my family members, especially my wife and children, who have had the patience and tolerance to support me while I spend most of the time out of my home. I again thank MCCJ for this recognition.
Imran Ali, and big congratulations to you. Well, now we all know Jared Davis. His presence is larger than life, and not just physically, but in his demeanor and leadership style. He is a successful bridge builder across racial and cultural lines because he understands our diverse community and its needs, as well as the needs of others. And now let's take a look at my friend here, Jared Davis.
Jared is the moral compass of not only our community, but for all of those who are fortunate to call him our friend and to be part of the family that he has helped to build in this community.
He saw things about the Miami community and possibilities here long before structures were in place, and thrives on putting pieces together.
And he's a son of the soil. Literally, when you think about everything that he does, who he is, where he's come from, he's a true Miamian through and through.
His version of power is a Miami where every one of us has an ability to get connected to a person that can help unlock our full potential. And I think that's what really makes Jared so unique.
I see him in his business capacity. I see him at the U talking to students and mentoring. I see him connecting with the Board of Trustees. I see him with community members. And the warmth and that easy laugh and that opportunity and ability to bring people together, it manifests itself in all those arenas. And that kind of skill set is something that we need more of.
I'd say law and tech are probably his two fortes. That's the things that he really has a massive passion about. What's great about that is that in those spheres, he ends up bringing in people from very, very, very diverse backgrounds.
Jared is involved in so many different organizations. I couldn't begin to list them, but on a personal basis, one of the ones that I'm so thrilled to see him taking on leadership within is the Nicholas Children's Hospital system, where he's serving as chair.
His grandfather was, in fact, one of the first African-American city managers of a municipality in Miami-Dade County. And the journey that Jared has been upon, his parents have been upon, the roots of why South Florida matters so much to him, it's embedded in his blood.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank MCCJ and its amazing staff and board of directors for this recognition. I am keenly aware of the rich history and legacy behind the Silver Medallion. And with any award, the pedigree, the true honor resides in the nature of the previous and current recipients. In this case, the legal legend that is Bob Josephsburg, the true warriors of the voiceless, Imran Ali and Cheryl Little, and of course our pillars, Marvin Leibowitz, Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields, Ava Moore Parks, and Rabbi Frederick Klein. Having been honored to know many of you throughout the community, I am awed you would choose me to stand with you. And stand may be the perfect word, because we live in times when none have a choice to do anything but stand. There may at present be more division in our society than has been the case in decades. Racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, xenophobia, misogyny. What was once exiled to shadow has all too often surfaced and, dare I say, become mainstream. The good news is I believe our South Florida community, and those like it, can be the means by which we return these darkest sides of our souls to the shadows. You know, we as a community spend a lot of time beating ourselves up. We discuss how we haven't yet perfected the blending of our many cultures, how we at times may be more of a salad bowl than a melting pot. We discuss misapplications of power, whether by law enforcement or otherwise. We discuss our fairly staggering wealth disparities. But inherent in all that, beating up of self, is a fervent desire to get it right. And sometimes we're so busy being self-critical, we forget how far we've come. We look at my own community, for example. At present, many of us live in a county, the chair of which is a black woman, and a recent predecessor of hers was the first Haitian American chair. We live in a region that plays home to some degree to the president of the nation's largest black-owned bank. We live in a region where the chief executives of 3 of the top law firms, well, correction, the top law firm and 2 others that are very close, are all black. A community where the heads of the leading museum, the county's economic development organization, several major banks, a Big 4 accounting firm, and a dean of our top medical school are black. And this notion of black excellence goes into the stratosphere when you incorporate our sister county of Broward. And that's simply examples from my own community. I could go on similarly about accomplishments from the Latin community, the LGBTQ community, the Jewish community, the Muslim, Arab, and South Asia communities here, and of course, women. You know, it's easy for us to forget that we currently have in this community what many would envy. And that we got here in part by being eternally so self-critical. That same hunger that drives an athlete to be the best. That same hunger that drives the entrepreneur to change the world. It's the same hunger to constantly question, are we where we should be, or who we wish to be, that ensures we get closer to answering that question, yes. And I pray we never stop. So in accepting this award, I ask to this audience filled with South Florida's most powerful and influential, that each of us continues this great legacy of being self-critical and question ourselves as we live our day-to-day lives within our respective spheres of influence. Question yourself as to how inherent biases drive our decision-making. Question yourself as to the power structures we've erected in our society. Question yourself as to educational opportunities we've made available to the young in our community. Question yourself as to how we make hiring and promotion decisions. Question yourself as to whether we are truly cultivating empathy for the challenges and obstacles unique to certain communities. Question yourself as to how, as a member of law enforcement, you are deploying the power society has granted you to protect others. Question yourself as to how, as an activist, you ask others to question themselves. Question yourself, question myself, question ourselves. And to our leadership at the national level, well, you get the gist. If each of us as leaders, as citizens, and as a family commit to this goal of constant self-questioning, I believe we will complete our evolution where we replace mere tolerance of differences with a celebration of those differences. That, to me, is the essence of MCCJ's mission, and why it touches me so that you've chosen to honor me with the silver medallion. I give you my covenant that I myself will commit to this goal of self-critical vigilance, and I will play whatever small part I can to help our community be an example for the country to follow. Thank you, and God bless you all.
What a great speech by Jared. Wow, great guy, great speech, great person. But I'm looking at my rundown here, it looks like Jared had the longest speech out of all of us, so being the true attorney that he is. So anyway, just had to give him a hard time. Congratulations, my friend. A revered member of the legal community, Bob Josephsberg is known for his compassion. He loves helping others, and throughout his professional life, he's made it a priority to provide pro bono legal service to those in need for decades. Humble, humorous, and practical, Bob has made Miami a more just and inclusive community. Let's take a look.
Bob Josephsberg has always been involved in trying to help people who are in difficulty or trouble. He has represented pro bono so many young kids that have been involved in drug abuse. He's done that since almost I've known him, and I've known him for 55 years. He looks at the best part of young people and tries to help them.
Bob is a big guy. literally, figuratively. He does everything in a big way.
He has done his work for the community with honesty, sincerity, and integrity, and respect for everyone's station in life. I can't emphasize that enough. He respects people's station in life, whatever it may be.
He's colorblind. He doesn't believe in any portion of the community being any better than the other part. And he wants to bring everybody together in all of the ways he operates. Kids, the law, drug abuse. He tries to bring people together.
I just think that Bob sensed and appreciated diversity early on and how important it is and how silly some conflicts are because people don't take the time to understand what Muslims are about or what Catholics are about or what this faction of Protestants are about.
He's always been interested in the little guy, the underprivileged, the disadvantaged, and he does everything he can to help people.
Bob deserves every accolade, every award that could possibly be given. He would never ask for one. He's very, very humble, but Bob is the guy. I don't know why Bob didn't get this award 40 years ago.
I've thought a lot about what I wanted to say today. I wanted to thank all the people who have been so good to me my entire life and have placed me where I am now. But I figured out I'd use up my 2 minutes if I mentioned the 50 of them. And then I'd realize there's another 100 that I didn't mention. But I know who you are, you know who you are, and you know that I know who you are. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wasn't sure what I was going to say today until I got an email this morning from my law partner and friend, Peter Prieto. And I want to read to you what he sent me about friendship. Watching other people succeed is one of the toughest things to do, especially if we are not doing well ourselves. In our hunter-gatherer minds, we suspect that life is a zero-sum game, that for someone to have more means that we might end up with less. But like all parts of philosophy, empathy and selflessness are a matter of practice. It is possible to learn to rejoice in all of the successes of your friends and be moved by their very failure. This is what virtuous people do. They teach themselves to actively cheer for other people, even in cases where that might come at their own expense, and to put aside jealousy and possessiveness. We can do that. That's what MCCJ is about. I want to finish by telling you a story of someone with a choice of going to heaven or hell. And he went down and visited hell. And there was a big round table, 8 people sitting around it. They all had splints at their elbow and couldn't bend their arms. They all had forks and they could take the luxurious food in the center, but they couldn't bend their arm and feed themselves. They were all emaciated, angry, and fighting with each other. He then went up to heaven, saw the same table, the same magnificent food, 8 different people with the same splints on their arms. But he saw something very different. Each of them took food and passed it to the people on their left and their right. And they were fed by the people on their left and their right. That's what MCCJ is about. We have to keep feeding each other, helping each other, and working together. I hope we can do that this next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that great story. Thank you, Bob. Wow. If there is one person in Miami that one could say is the voice for all immigrants, that would be Cheryl Little. Her advocacy on behalf of immigrants and their families is national in scope. And whether in the trenches or in a courtroom, Cheryl's objective is always justice for all. Let's take a look back at her great work.
Cheryl has done so much in the community. She's helped reunite families. She's helped people who might feel like they have no hope, who might not have seen it in their future to have their papers, their citizenship.
The full purpose of Cheryl's life The full purpose of our work is justice for everyone. People entering, people who've been here all their lives. Every human being is entitled to justice. And that's what she works at.
She's in the trenches. She goes to the detention places. She goes to Washington, D.C. for the advocacy. She talks to the families. We live in a time right now where more and more of this work is needed.
She knows the history of our own country. She knows that we have been hateful at times during periods of history, but she also knows the best of us, and she wants the best for everyone.
When my uncle was in detention at the airport some years ago, she was the first person I thought of. I thought, Cheryl will know what to do. So she not only kept hope alive, but she continues to keep hope alive for so many people.
A couple of years ago, I was detained by immigration and customs enforcement officers. My house was raided. I was placed in a detention facility. A few days I was supposed to be departing the country. It was because of Miss Cheryl Little. She fought for my case. She was my attorney back then, and she was able to get me released, and I am now an immigration attorney doing the same thing.
If MCCJ is all about decency, fairness, justice, integrity, I can't think of anybody more worthy of this honor than Cheryl Little.
Congratulations, MCCJ, on your 85th anniversary. Wow, what an accomplishment. I truly am honored by this award, but I wouldn't be receiving it without the amazing staff I've worked with over the years and the clients we've had the privilege of helping, who are a constant source of inspiration. And I'm so grateful to MCCJ for your decades of groundbreaking work uniting us and helping defend our basic human rights. No small feat. You have made us a stronger and safer community, and we are all the better for it. So thank you, thank you, thank you, MCCJ staff, board, and supporters.
Cheryl, thank you, and thank you for being such a force in our community as well. Before I introduce the keynote speaker tonight, the Dolphins lose 20-13 to the Denver Broncos. I know we just couldn't bring it back. All right, well, congratulations to all of our winners tonight, and what beautiful stories of their journeys and contributions to our community. Their leadership and dedication is certainly to be appreciated and recognized tonight and always. So to introduce our special guest for this evening, we all know who he is, and we read his work all the time. Leonard Pitts, Jr., a commentator and novelist, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, a national opinion columnist who has covered this tumultuous year with his usual clarity and keen sense of observations. Long admired in our community, and he is featured in the Miami Herald twice weekly, we welcome Leonard Pitts, Jr. this evening to share his comments. Let's take a listen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
365 days ago, I'd have told you that it was mathematically impossible for a year to last a decade. But of course, that was before 2020 came to town. You don't need me to tell you, but I'll tell you anyway. This has been a year of stress and upheaval unparalleled in modern times. We have endured a pandemic whose death toll is spiraling north of 250,000 in the United States alone. We have spent months locked indoors or else walking the streets masked up and looking like bank robbers from some old Western movie. Speaking of which, movie theaters are failing, as are clothing stores, restaurants, booksellers, and pretty much every other business that depends on people to be able to get out and patronize them. In 2020, basketball was played in near-empty gyms and baseball in near-empty stadiums. Addictions rose, and we had to learn how to socialize, teach, and worship virtually. We also had to learn how to give speeches virtually. Nor is that the only challenge that this year has brought. We've seen flooding and fires on a catastrophic level. When I went to Los Angeles this past summer, the sky was a sickly yellow and the air smelled like a backyard barbecue. Meantime, so many Atlantic storms are pummeling the Americas that they've literally run out of names and are now referring to them by letters of the Greek alphabet. In 2020, we have seen celebrated young men die with a suddenness that took your breath away. Kobe Bryant and his young daughter and 7 other passengers on an ill-fated helicopter ride. Chadwick Boseman, the action movie star, turned out to have been fighting a fatal illness. And I haven't even mentioned Ahmaud Arbery or Breonna Taylor or George Floyd, who spent 8 minutes and 46 seconds pressed to the street with a policeman's knee against his neck, crying for his mother, crying that he couldn't breathe, and finally dying right there before our very eyes. Nor have I mentioned the uprising that those deaths ignited, the weeks of protest and resistance that gripped this country from Portland to Kansas City to Los Angeles to Washington to New York, to say nothing of sympathetic demonstrations in major world cities like Rome, London, Madrid, and Rio de Janeiro. Nor have I mentioned the violent and dystopian response to those protests in this country, most notably in the nation's capital, where nonviolent demonstrators were gassed and were beaten. And now, here we are, in the home stretch of this bizarre year that feels as if it has lasted 10 years, and I have the honor of being asked to address you on the theme, This Moment in History, Racial Equity and Cultural Diversity. Well, with your permission, and with apologies to the late, great Ben E. King, I want to remix that a bit. I want to spend some time talking about this tragic moment. Truth is, it's not just that 2020 has shaken us, but rather that it has ripped us out of comfort zones, forced us to question things we once thought we knew. 2020 has been the difference between a thing you know intellectually and a thing you know viscerally, know with a certainty your bones can testify to. 2020 has made things real. I mean, we all knew that life is uncertain and nothing is promised, but that Sunday when I heard that Kobe had died healthy and young at the age of 41 was like getting hit in the face with a brick you never saw coming. We all know that our planet is overheating, but gazing into that egg yolk colored sky in Los Angeles, watching those storms one after the other pummel the Atlantic coast, made you feel like a future of fire, flood, hunger, and desolation were breathing down your neck. And we all know that race remains the great open wound of the American psyche, but watching George Floyd die as that police officer looked out from that grisly work with entitled unconcern made it not something happening on the news, but something personal, something that in a very real sense happened to each one of us. Seeing him die made it an emergency. This tragic moment has awakened something in this nation, some sense of conscience and activism that had been asleep within us. And as the year closes itself out, as we prepare for whatever it is that 2021 has in store, here's the question that we as people of conscience should be asking ourselves. It is the same question Martin Luther King asked the year before his assassination. Where do we go from here? It's important, I think, to realize that if 2020 has ripped us out of comfort zones, if it has forced us to ask questions we never thought we'd have to ask before, maybe in a sense that's not the worst thing in the world. If it has reminded us the next day is not promised, maybe that lends this day an urgency it never had before. If it has reminded us of an inconvenient truth we allowed to fester for far too long, maybe that should in turn remind us that problems left unattended do not simply solve themselves. And if it has brought us tragedy and pain, maybe in the context of MCCJ's mission of building an inclusive community, it has also left us the gift of opportunity. And here I'm thinking about the Target store in Minneapolis that was looted and burned after the murder of George Floyd. It turns out that the store, located in the middle of a poor African-American neighborhood on the south side of town, was not the bright and clean Target that suburban shoppers are used to. No, this one was notorious for being dirty and poorly stocked. It was such a mess that it was known locally as Targetto. Well, in the rubble of that ruined store, Target saw what I hope we see in the rubble of this ruinous year, meaning an opportunity, a chance to do better. The company met with members of the community to hear their concerns. It hired a construction firm owned by a Black woman. It improved the lighting, spruced up the entrance with a new mural and with plants. It changed the stock in its grocery and beauty aisles to better reflect the taste of its customers. It organized a racial justice committee whose job was to, quote, create environments where Black guests feel overtly welcome. The new store opened just a few days ago, and Target has committed itself to similar outreach to customers in other communities of color. Now, none of this is to paint the Target Corporation as a racial savior. No, the point here is that when things are torn down, you have two options. You can either weep in the rubble of what was, or you can use the rubble as a clean slate, a chance to build something bigger and better. That's what Target did in its store. That's also what Stacey Abrams did. 2 years ago, she stood in the rubble of her political hopes, a run for the governorship of Georgia shattered by voter suppression. And she built on that rubble a voter registration movement that helped turn that state, that red state, bright blue, and secure victory for President-elect Joe Biden. One thing about standing in the rubble is that everything that was has been cleared away. You can see further, your view unhampered by existing structures and presumptions. You have a blank sheet of paper to work on. What you do with that is limited only by your imagination and your will. It turns out it always has been. The United States of America represents the most flawless ideal, not the most flawless country, but the most flawless ideal by which human beings have ever sought to govern themselves. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As a model of human rights, as a means of unleashing the maximum of human potential, you cannot improve on that. And granted, if America had ever been serious about its ideals, there would be no need for an MCCJ, and you and I would be spending this moment doing something else entirely. If America had ever been serious about its ideals, it would have been a nation of inclusion and community right from the start, where land was never stolen from the native peoples. Chinese immigrants were never relegated to California shantytowns. Jews were never banned from housing. The Irish were never forced to do dirty jobs for minimal pay. LGBTQ people were never beaten or arrested for the crime of being. South American children were never caged and taken away from their parents, and Africans were never segregated, lynched, and enslaved. As Dr. King said in his final speech, all we say to America is, be true to what you said on paper, which America never has been. But in this tragic moment, this moment pregnant with possibility, this moment when we are reckoning with a frankness we haven't seen in 60 years, with our failures to live up to our founding ideals, who can say what is and is not possible? Who's to say that we cannot make great strides toward building inclusion and diversity into the very fabric of whatever takes shape from here? Who's to say we can't, as Newark did, remold police departments so that they protect struggling communities instead of just suppressing them? Who's to say that we can't, like the Eastlake Foundation of Atlanta did, revitalize blighted places so that incomes and test scores rise even as crime falls? Who's to say that we can't, as the Gay Straight Alliance has done, lower depression and suicide rates among LGBTQ young people? Who's to say we can't, as the Dallas Dinner Table has done, facilitate cross-cultural friendships and connections through the simple act of breaking bread? Who's to say we can't, especially in this fraught moment when we are standing in the rubble of an awful year, make real and substantial change? And you may say, well, yes, those are wonderful successes, but they are specific to the programs and the municipalities that you mentioned. And I would say, who says they are? This is the thing I've never understood, this failure of imagination among those of us who say we want to fight for change. Why can't what Newark did work in Minneapolis or Ferguson? Why can't what Eastlake has done in Atlanta be replicated in Miami or Los Angeles? If Gay Straight Alliance principles help kids in New Orleans and Washington, why can't they help kids in Cleveland or Las Vegas? The point being, we already know how to build diversity and inclusion. We already know how to shape a culture more welcoming and affirming than the one we have. The examples are literally all around us. The problem is that we allow them to be the exception and not the rule. We don't lack know-how. What we lack too often is the will, the vision, the belief. But in this tragic moment, when everything is up in the air and we're all waiting to see what happens next, in this moment when all possibilities seem equal, why not go ahead and change the world? Why not at least try? And yes, I'm aware of how daunting that sounds. I'm aware of how easy it is to talk yourself out of trying to make change, how seductive it is to say, what can I do? I am only one person. Well, for the record, Cesar Chavez was only one. Berry Gordy Jr. was only one. Steve Jobs was only one. Elvis Presley was only one. The man who faced down those tanks in Tiananmen Square was only one. Rosa Parks was only one. Only one can change the world, but First, you have to believe, you have to know the world can be changed. And have you ever noticed, people who are committed to paths of bigotry and division never have to be convinced of that. They never seem to doubt their ability to change the world. Yet, for some reason, people who are committed to diversity and inclusion always do. Good always seems to need a pep talk. Evil never does. So fine, here is a pep talk. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Dr. King said that. Surely in the light of history, it is more intelligent to hope rather than to fear, to try rather than not to try. For one thing we know beyond all doubt, never has anything been achieved by the person who says it can't be done. Eleanor Roosevelt said that. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Bishop Desmond Tutu said that. They tried to bury us. They did not know we were seeds. The Greek poet Dinos Christianopoulos said that. I say this, 2020 is almost done. We stand in the rubble of this tragic moment, yes, but we stand. So much of the denial that has challenged and obstructed us has been cleared away. You can see further, your view unhampered by existing structures and presumptions. The slate is clean. The paper is blank and white. So what happens next? What do we do now? Where do we go from here? Well, the answer is up to us, each and every one.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yeah, I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more to now live and know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What a wonderful world, of course, the original Louis Armstrong. And in this tragic moment, let us use the rubble as a clean slate, as a clean canvas that Leonard Pitts talked about. A special thank you to Leonard and to Garen for your inspiring words and, of course, the beautiful music. Garen Decembre is a 2019 Metrotown alumnus and is presently a high school senior. Garen considers music to be a language, adding that, quote, music has helped me grow as a person, and through it, I'd like to show people the goodness and positivity I see in the world. Good luck to you, Garen, in your musical career. You're certainly on your way. And now is the time for an important MCCJ tradition. Thank you to the members of the MCCJ board and the clergy dialogue for sharing their thoughts as they light the Unity Candle tonight. And following our annual tradition, our invocation and Unity Candle prayer will be led by tonight's Clergy Award honoree, Rabbi Frederick Klein. He will be accompanied by MCCJ board and clergy dialogue members, Rabbi Solomon Schiff, Father Patrick O'Neill, the Reverend Priscilla Feliski Whitehead, Jeanette Smith, Navid Anjum, the Reverend Wilfred Allen Fayea, and the Reverend Theo Johnson. Let's take a look.
The book of Proverbs tell us, the soul of humanity is like the lamp of God, revealing all that which is within. The light of a lamp illuminates the dark night around us, bringing us clarity and vision. It lights our way as we move forward through the night. In this same way, when we look deep within our divinely given souls in introspection, reflection, and meditation, far away from the endless cacophony and distraction, we will discover both as individuals and as a society clarity in our collective and sacred values, which bring us together tonight. As we light these candles, let their flames illuminate our own inner world and inspire us to our higher values and our higher selves. Let us remind ourselves to act in light of these values we profess.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of faith. Faith in the goodness in the heart of each human being. Faith in our ability to change things for the better. Faith in our ability to elevate those around us to fulfill the best within them, and thus make this a better world for all humanity.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of hope, practiced and sustained in solidarity with others of goodwill throughout our ever-changing world, because it is hope founded upon our ever-faithful God, who promises to be with us and guide us always, no matter what.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of equality, joining hand in the struggle to improve the dignity of each and every human being, ensuring our rights are protected, each of us being created in the image of God. This fundamental teaching, a teaching under attack from some corners of our great country, is a core message of Moses, Jesus, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of justice. For the Lord requires of us three things: to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. When we do justice, we are putting love into action.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of peace. For those who hold peace dear are truly the children of God.
I light this candle to bless you with God's mercy and compassion as we face fears and anxieties in a global pandemic. God spare us from our suffering and fears and remind us that each of us are God's children.
In lighting this candle, I bless you with the light of love. For love is one another's greatest gift and highest goal. The more we love, the more beautiful our world becomes.
Faith, hope, equality, justice, peace, mercy and compassion, love. Let us bless ourselves and one another. As we live through these dark and uncertain times, let us be bathed in the light of these eternal values, and let us collectively inspire and commit ourselves to live out these values in our individual and collective lives. In this way, when each of us shine our own lights, we will collectively bring divine illumination to the entire world. May you be blessed, and may each of us bless one another with this prayer. Let us say, Amen.
Amen indeed. So we want to thank the members of the clergy for that beautiful unity prayer, which inspire us as we enter this holiday season and approach a brand new year that is so needed. We want 2020 to get out of here, not fast enough. Friends, what a beautiful evening this has been, and what a wonderful world it is. The lyrics of that timeless song and the profundity of Leonard's keynote address, may it all inspire us to continue building an inclusive community among the rubble, as he said. MCCJ's imperative is to continue to take the lead and train inclusive leaders through programs like Metrotown, help rebuild law enforcement through the Clergy Dialogue, play a role in creating safe spaces for dialogue and conflict resolution, and work with LGBTQ youth in lowering the suicide rate and facilitate those cross-cultural connections to break bread and build bridges. I want to thank you all for being with us tonight. We send our warmest congratulations to all of the honorees and their families. You have waited 8 months to formally receive your honor and your medallions, and you deserve a heartfelt round of applause. To everyone who has shared the vision of MCCJ and supported us by attending this evening, we are most grateful. And a special thank you to our sponsors for this evening and for those who honored us with a donation to provide future teens with the Metrotown experience. We share your commitment to keep MCCJ's future strong and bright in Miami as we head to other milestone celebrations. For all those who did make a $500 gift, including Give Miami-Dade, and this evening you will be a part of the drawing for the prizes we have announced. You will also be invited to a December 4th Zoom call to select the winners as well. And we also want to make a final note here that the rebroadcast of this entire ceremony will be done in its entirety. We will also announce that at a future date. To close our evening tonight, I want to share one final inspirational message from Robert Kennedy. Ultimately, America's answer to the intolerant man is diversity. The very diversity which our heritage of religious freedom has inspired. Thank you for your support of MCCJ. It has been a pleasure to share this evening with you, and I will see you on Local 10 News at 4, 5, 6, and 11 o'clock. I'll see you next year as well. Have a good night.